race run form in triathlon?
Depends on who you ask. I get a lot of critiques on it. A lot of people tell me how I can make it better and maybe run a little faster. When you can run 2:35 off the bike, you can critique my run form.
The first man across the line and your winner of the 2024 Qatar Airways Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga. Make some noise for Matt Hanson. Wow. Oh my goodness. Matt, well done. What a run. We're going to talk to you in a little bit, but let's get that man a water.
All right, welcome back. These post-race recaps are a little bit more fun to talk about when you come away with a win versus when the race didn't go as planned. But like I've said a number of times, I'm committed to doing this, following the good and the bad. I don't think it's authentic to be just showing up on the good days only. So you get both sides, but it's a lot more fun for me to talk about the race when I'm pretty happy about the performance. I don't have to win to feel happy about the day, but I have to feel like I executed my race plan as good as I possibly could. And in Chattanooga, even if I wouldn't have been able to make that last move in the last 2 miles, I was having a pretty good day. And first is a whole lot better than third, but I think I would have been pretty satisfied with the effort and the way that I executed the day, even if the other two guys were able to carry on and I didn't catch them at the end. But yeah, so to quick run through the day. Love Chattanooga. It's been a race that obviously that was my first win in 2014, so that was a big kind of kickstart to the career. And obviously Quintana Roo is there, so it's great to go. They kind of roll out the red carpet for me every time I go there. And I got to travel there without a bike, and I got the new VPRI while I was there, got fitted on it, and got a couple rides in it in the days before the race. And I've been on the prototype, but I got the actual full-on model this weekend, so that was a lot of fun as well. And the white definitely looks pretty good out on the course as well. So got there a little bit early, did some stuff with QR, and then on race morning, it's one of the races that's a little bit has a little bit of friction for logistics. The start is 1.4 miles away from the transition, and so you got to get there a little bit earlier and get everything set up. But got through all that pretty quickly and took the bus up to the swim start. Did my run up there, did the call out. They announced the top 10, and I think I was bid number 6. So got to be in the call out, and then got in the water for a warm up. It was 72 degrees, so just over the wetsuit cutoff. I was all right with that, especially since it's a down current swim. But then got on with the day. So the way we lined up, I was on the right with Jackson being in the river. I thought being on the right side, closer to the center, that's where the faster current's going to be. It's a little bit deeper. So that was kind of the tactics that we're going through. It made sense in my head, the way it shook out. I should have been on the other side because the top guys that were able to get away from my group were all on the opposite side, and they got off the line pretty fast. There was only, I think, Justin Ryle. I've said that his name wrong a number of times, but I think Justin was the only one on the right side that was able to bridge up into that group. Everybody else was on the other side. So live and learn there. I thought I was being smart and paid the price a little bit on that one, but came out of the water. I was happy with the swim, happy with the effort. Jackson was right in front of me. Cody was right in front of him, I think. So the guys that when we race together, if I have a good swim, we kind of come out together, so that, it's kind of a good metric. When we all come out together, it's like, we did what we should have done. And so it would have been great to be up the road with the 5 or 6 guys that got off. maybe the bike would have gone a little bit better for me if that were the case, because I would have been able to recover a little bit. It wouldn't have been so hot out of the start on the bike, but yeah, that's racing, and you can always find ways to nitpick and do a little bit better. Had a good transition. I think I came out of transition in front of the entire group that I came out of the water with, so I was happy with the transition, got settled in well right away. Cody and Jack kind of led the group out. I knew Jack was going to go hard, and I was hanging on and riding well, made it through the bumps and the turns. A lot of us lost. There's a pretty gnarly railroad track, mile 3. A lot of us lost our nutrition in there. Thought I was prepared for it. I had a rubber band around my rear bottle. I had 600 calories of my my high cal fast food stuff in there, and hit the bump. And despite it being rubber banded to the bike, it launched. And I thought, no way, when I heard the bottle rolling, it had to be somebody behind me. Reached back, and lo and behold, it was gone. So I had to change my plan a little bit because of that, to make sure that I had a good run, and that's unfortunate. But those are the decisions that you have to make, and the choices that you have to make during the race. And so the choice that I was mulling through as I was riding the first 5-10 miles, where I've got to back off a little bit on the back half of this ride in order to not burn so many matches, right? The higher the power, the more carbs you're using, and I launched what I wanted to use. And group dynamics, if most people don't have to stop at aid stations in a 70.3, especially for calories. And so yeah, it's easy to grab water, but it's harder to grab extra gels and things like that. Thankfully, I had 2 emergency gels in the internal storage of my of the VPRI, but so that saved my day. But I had to make some decisions later on in the ride. Trevor came through a little bit earlier than I wanted him to, and I think he came through with under 15 miles into the ride. And I hoped to be a little bit farther up the road. I knew, he hadn't been running much, so his bike legs were going to be there. And he and Jack started working as soon as he caught us. The pace picked up, and I was there holding on, riding pretty well. And then the turn at the bottom, they attacked up the hill, and I was again too far back in the group. That was a tactical error on my part. I knew, that's the logical place to attack. I knew it was coming. But the guy in front of me let the gap open up, and I just wasn't strong enough to cover it. So tactical error on my part, and then we basically had it whittled down to just 3 riders. It was Hunter and then Miguel were the ones riding with me, and we worked well together. We had a moto with us the whole time, stayed really clean, and so it was a good group to ride with. We were losing time. I knew we were losing time. I tried to go and put in some work early on, so like the 70 to 90 minute mark, and then after that I just kind of settled in and let the other 2 guys do a bulk of the work, just because I knew I was really low on calories, and I knew we were bleeding time. I just needed to do what we had to do to set up a good run. And so it was probably the most I've been in a group that rotated. Usually I'm wanting to be aggressive and be on the front. This time, I think probably the 3 of us split time pretty evenly overall. And yeah, so that was, got off the bike, was 4.5 minutes down, a lot bigger gap than I wanted to be. The ride broke up a lot more than it did in 2022 when we were there. I think I got off the bike with a group of 10 guys, and we were all kind of in the lead at that point 2 years ago. And then this year it just broke up, just different dynamics, totally different race. It took me by surprise. But I knew the guys up front had run hard, and the sun was finally starting to come out a little bit. So the early miles I was feeling pretty good. And, so at that point I was just, hoping that the sun would come out and make it as hard of a run as possible. That was probably my only chance to make up that gap. At the start of the run, I got the first split that I was in 7th and 4.5 minutes down. I wasn't really thinking about trying to win the race at that point. It was really about, making sure that I closed as big of that, or as much of that gap as I could to, the overall point series was kind of the focus. This was an extra 70.3. And I didn't have a good one in Oceanside. So the hope was to be able to get that one off of my scorecard at the end of the year. So it was, just get as close to the front as I could to kind of eliminate that result. And that was the focus. So it was just run hard and see what happened. I think I moved into 6th halfway through the first lap, and then 5th right at the end of the first lap is where I believe I passed Justin. And I was still 2.5 minutes down at that point. So, I hadn't cut half the gap yet, but I had made some progress. Knew the back half was going to be, some things were going to happen. I was pretty confident that I could run up to the podium at that point. But, again, at that point, I didn't know if winning was possible. Got to the out and back around, I guess that would be miles 8 and 9. And I was still 1:45 off the lead when we crossed paths. But I could see the body language and could see they were laboring, and I was still running pretty even. And so, that's where I'm like, okay, we've got a chance at moving up into 2nd, maybe outside chance at 1st. And then there's a pretty significant hill at mile 5, and then the tail end of the 11th mile. And that, it's a decent puncher. It's not very long, but it's fairly steep and it slows people down. And, on the first lap, I knew that my heart rate went up 5 beats per minute, just on that hill, and it never came back down. So I was kind of anticipating it going to happen again that second lap. And, I was hoping the same thing would happen to the guys in front of me. And, at the bottom of the hill was where I could see the first and the second place bikes. I had moved into 3rd right before coming out of that trailhead, and could see 2nd and the first place bikes. I'm like, okay, I got to drill it. And, ran up the hill hard. I tried to accelerate through the aid station, get a little bit of water on myself, cool myself down. Because I know that you're totally exposed. As soon as you get to the top, you're totally exposed for the rest of the run. And 2022, I caught Andre around the same spot on that bridge as I ended up moving into 1st. And he ended up struggling a little bit after he got off the bridge and not finishing because the heat got to him in that last mile. And that kind of the same thing seemed to happen to the leader who had led all day long. And the heart rate goes up after the hill, you get a little bit of a breeze on the bridge, and then it all goes away and you just roast for the last 1.5 miles. And that's definitely experienced that. I tried to get myself as damp as I possibly could before that. And I surged hard to make sure that when I passed, they didn't think it made their decision to not go with me, essentially was the mindset. So mile 12 was 5 flat, and it was the fastest mile of the day. And then it was just hope I didn't do anything to screw it up in that last mile. The quads were fighting, cramping. I didn't ever cramp, but you could feel it like it was trying to. And I was just happy to hold on and get the win at the end. Yeah, so again, always good to come away with a win. A couple performances that definitely stuck out to me this weekend. Nicholas is a younger pro. He obviously didn't get the result, but he led the entire out of the swim by himself, led most of the bike, and then took off on the run. So you got to admire that performance. And obviously it's always great sharing a podium with Jackson. He's been a guy that's come and stayed with me, trained with me in the past. And so, we definitely do a bit stay in touch, and so definitely a competitor that I respect, and so great to share a podium with him. Trevor Foley is scary, man. Like knowing that he's only done a handful of runs coming into that. He was sitting in 5th for a while and then ran back up into 3rd at the end. So to close that hard and to bike that well. So those the podium was solid, and just happy to have just a little bit better of a day. Sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved, and things just went my way there. As always, huge thanks to the volunteers and all the Ironman staff for keeping us safe and making the roads as good as possible, and keeping most of the traffic out of the way throughout the day. But on to Boulder 70.3 next, then we'll take a little bit of a break for the off season. So make sure you stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.